The spaceship Starbound moved slowly through the dark space around Kepler 442c. Inside the ship, Dr. Jake Coleman looked out the window at the green and blue planet below. He had been waiting for this moment for 3 years. This was his first real mission as a xenobiologist, and he wanted to study alien life forms more than anything else in the world. Jake was a tall man with brown hair and kind eyes. He always smiled when he talked about his work. Even now, looking at the dangerous planet below, he could not stop grinning. His hands pressed against the cold glass of the observation deck as he watched clouds move across the planet's surface. "You should not be so excited," said a deep voice behind him. Jake turned around to see Commander Vexstar walking toward him. The alien was tall and thin, with blue skin and forearms. His large black eyes showed worry. "This planet has killed many explorers before you." Jake laughed softly. "That's what makes it interesting, Commander. We're here to learn about life we've never seen before." Vexstar shook his head. The Gelithy had been exploring space for thousands of years. They had seen many worlds and many dangers. Humans were new to space travel, and Vexstar thought they did not understand how dangerous the universe could be. "The creatures on this planet are not like anything on Earth," Vexstar said. "Their poison can kill in seconds. Even our best medicine cannot save someone who gets bitten." Jake nodded, but his smile did not go away. "I've read all the reports, Commander. I know the risks. But someone has to go down there and study these creatures. That's why I'm here." The door to the observation deck opened, and 2 more people walked in. Lisa Brooks was the ship's security officer. She was a strong woman with short black hair and sharp green eyes. She carried herself like a soldier, which she had been before joining the space program. Behind her came Dr. Krialon, the Zelithy scientist who would work with Jake on the planet. "The landing team is ready," Lisa said. "We've checked all the equipment twice. The environmental suits are working perfectly." Dr. Krialon moved closer to the group. Like all Zelithy, she was thin and blue, but smaller than Commander Vexstar. Her voice was soft and musical. "I must say again that I think this mission is too dangerous. The shadow maws on this planet are the most deadly creatures we have ever found." "What exactly are these shadow maws?" Jake asked. He had read about them, but he wanted to hear from someone who had studied them. Krialon's 4 hands moved as she talked. "They are like snakes, but much worse. They can be as small as your earth cats or as large as your elephants. Their bodies are black with silver marks that glow in the dark. They hide in trees and under rocks. When they bite, their poison breaks down the body from the inside. Death comes in less than 1 minute. The poison attacks at the molecular level." Vexstar added, "It destroys the bonds that hold living tissue together. We have never found a cure." Jake listened carefully, but he did not look scared. "How many species have tried to study them?" 17 different species have sent teams to this planet," Krialon said. "None have ever returned." Lisa checked her weapon and looked at Jake. "Are you sure you want to do this? We could study the planet from orbit and send down robots." "Robots can't do what I need to do," Jake said. "I need to see how these creatures behave. I need to study their habitat and understand how they live. The only way to do that is to go down there myself." Commander Vexstar walked to the control panel and pressed several buttons. The planet appeared on a large screen in front of them. Green jungles covered most of the land. Blue rivers ran through the forests like silver threads. It looked beautiful, but everyone in the room knew how deadly it was. "The planet has a breathable atmosphere," Vexstar said, "but the environmental suits are required. The air contains spores and chemicals that could be harmful. The gravity is slightly less than Earth normal, so movement will be easier for humans." "Where will we set up base camp?" Jake asked. Creolon pointed to a spot on the map. Here, near these crystal formations. They seem to keep most of the dangerous animals away. We think the crystals make a sound that the creatures do not like. Or maybe they give off some kind of energy, Jake said, studying the formations on the screen. Have you tested them? From orbit only, Creolon replied. They appear to pulse with bioluminescent energy every few hours. The pattern is regular, like a heartbeat. Lisa moved closer to the screen. How far is the crystal area from the densest Shadowmaw populations? About 2 kilometers, Vexstar answered. Close enough to study them, but far enough to be relatively safe. Jake looked at his team members. He could see the worry in their faces, but he also saw determination. They were all good at their jobs, and they trusted each other. That was important when going to a world where everything wanted to kill you. When do we leave? Jake asked. In 6 hours, Lisa said. The planet's sun will be rising in the area where we plan to land. That should give us the best visibility. And the Shadowmaws are less active during daylight, Creolon added. They prefer to hunt at dawn and dusk. Jake nodded and looked out the window one more time. The planet looked peaceful from space, but he knew that was just an illusion. Down there, in those green forests, were creatures that had killed every explorer who had tried to study them. But Jake was not afraid. He was excited. He had become a scientist because he wanted to understand life in all its forms. The more dangerous and unknown something was, the more it interested him. The Shadowmaws were the ultimate challenge for someone like him. I'll go prepare my equipment, Jake said. See you at the shuttle bay in 5 hours. As Jake walked away, Vexstar and Creolon looked at each other with concern. They had worked with many species over the years, but humans were different. They seemed to seek out danger instead of avoiding it. Do you think he understands what he is facing? Creolon asked quietly. Vexstar watched Jake disappear down the corridor. I think he understands perfectly. That is what worries me. The shuttle landed on Kepler 442c with a soft thud. Jake Coleman felt his heart beat faster as the engines powered down. Through the small window, he could see tall purple trees and thick green vines. Strange flowers glowed with soft blue light. In the shadows between the trees, Lisa Brooks checked her scanner one more time. Air quality looks good, but keep your suits on. I'm reading some unusual chemical signatures out there. Jake stood up and grabbed his collection kit. Inside were containers for plant samples, tools for measuring, and cameras for recording everything. He found he had packed enough supplies for 3 days of fieldwork. Remember, Commander Vexstar said over the radio from the ship above, stay close to the crystal formations. Do not go more than 50 meters from base camp on your first day. Understood. Commander, Jake replied, but he was already looking at the forest beyond the crystals. So many new species to discover, so many secrets to uncover. Dr. Creolon was the first to step outside. Her 4 hands held different scanning devices as she tested the air and ground. No immediate threats detected, she announced. But that means nothing on this world. The Shadowmaws are very good at hiding. Jake followed her outside and took his first breath of alien air through his suit's filters. The air smelled like flowers and rain, with something else underneath that he could not identify. The gravity felt lighter, making each step feel bouncy and strange. The crystal formations were even more beautiful up close. They stood like frozen. Waterfalls, clear and bright, reaching up toward the purple sky. Every few minutes, they pulsed with white light that made the whole area glow. Incredible, Jake said, pulling out his camera. The energy readings must be off the charts. Lisa set up a security perimeter around their landing site. She placed small sensors in a circle that would warn them if anything large approached. Jake, don't go wandering off while I'm setting this up. I'll just look around near the crystals, Jake promised. He was already walking toward a cluster of strange plants that grew near the base of the largest crystal formation. The plants were unlike anything on Earth. Their leaves were silver and moved even though there was no wind. Some had flowers that opened and closed like mouths. Others had stems that twisted and curled like they were alive. Jake knelt down and carefully cut a small sample from one of the silver-leafed plants. As soon as he touched it, the plant made a soft humming sound. All the other plants around it started humming too, creating a strange harmony. "Fascinating," he whispered, putting the sample in a container. "They communicate with each other." Creolon approached with her scanners beeping. "These readings are very unusual. The plants seem to be connected underground by some kind of root network, like a forest-wide nervous system," Jake said excitedly. "They might share information about threats, food sources, maybe even emotions." He moved to another group of plants near a small stream that ran between the crystals. The water was clear and moved slowly over smooth rocks. Small fish-like creatures swam in the stream, but they had too many fins and eyes that glowed green. In the dim light, Jake knelt by the water's edge to get a better look at the creatures. He pulled out a small net to catch one for study. The fish seemed curious about him and swam closer instead of running away. "Careful, Jake," Lisa called from across the camp. "We don't know if anything here is poisonous." "I'm being careful," Jake replied, but his attention was focused on the strange fish. One of them had markings on its side that looked almost like writing. He had to get a closer look. As Jake leaned forward to dip his net in the water, something moved in the bushes behind him. The silver plants suddenly stopped humming. Even the glowing fish disappeared into the deeper parts of the stream. Jake felt the hair on his neck stand up. Something was watching him. He turned around slowly and saw a pair of silver eyes staring at him from the shadows under a large purple tree. The creature was about the size of a house cat, with a long body like a snake. Its skin was black with silver markings that seemed to glow and shift like liquid metal. "Shadowmaw," Jake whispered into his radio. "I've got a juvenile Shadowmaw about 3 meters away." "Don't move." Creolon's voice came back urgently. "Do not make any sudden movements. Back away very slowly." But Jake did not back away. He was too interested in finally seeing one of these legendary creatures up close. The Shadowmaw was beautiful in a deadly way. Its silver markings pulsed with the same rhythm as the crystals. Maybe they were connected somehow. Jake slowly reached for his camera, wanting to record this moment. The Shadowmaw watched him with intelligent eyes. It did not seem afraid or aggressive. It seemed curious, just like Jake. Jake hid away from. "There." Lisa's voice was sharp with worry. "Those things are faster than anything we've ever seen." The Shadowmaw tilted its head, studying Jake. Then it began to move closer, sliding through the grass like flowing water. Its movements were smooth and hypnotic. Jake remained perfectly still, hardly breathing. This was the chance of a lifetime. No one had ever observed a Shadowmaw this close and lived to tell about it. The creature came within arm's reach and stopped. It raised its head, tasting the air with a forked tongue. Jake could see every detail of its scales, the way the silver markings seemed to pulse with their own light. Then, faster than Jake could react, the Shadowmaw struck. Its fangs pierced through Jake's environmental suit just above his wrist. He felt a sharp pain as the creature bit down, then released him and slithered back into the bushes. Jake looked down at his wrist. 2 small puncture wounds were visible through the torn fabric of his suit. Already, he could feel something spreading up his arm. It felt warm and tingly, like drinking too much coffee. "Jake!" Lisa was running toward him, her medical scanner in one hand and her weapon in the other. "Are you okay? Talk to me." Creolon appeared beside Lisa, her 4 hands shaking as she pulled out emergency medical supplies. We need to get him back to the ship immediately. The poison will kill him in less than a minute. Jake stood up and brushed dirt off his knees. He looked at the bite marks on his wrist and smiled. Well, that's got a little buzz to it. Both Lisa and Creelon stared at him in shock. What did you say? Lisa asked, her medical scanner beeping frantically as it detected the venom in Jake's system. I said it's got a little buzz, Jake repeated, flexing his fingers. Kind of like when you drink espresso on an empty stomach. Tingly, but not bad. Creelon's eyes went wide with disbelief. That is impossible. The venom should have killed you already. You should be dissolving from the inside out. Jake looked at his wrist again. The area around the bite was slightly red, but that was all. He felt more awake and alert than before, like he had just had a good workout. I feel fine, he said. Actually, I feel pretty good, kind of energized. Lisa grabbed his arm and ran her medical scanner over the bite wounds. The readings showed massive amounts of shadow maw venom in his bloodstream, but all of Jake's vital signs were normal. In fact, they were better than normal. This doesn't make sense, Lisa muttered, checking her scanner to make sure it was working correctly. Commander Vextar's voice crackled over the radio. What is happening down there? Dr. Creelon's readings show a venom exposure. Jake got bitten by a juvenile shadow maw, Lisa reported. But he's fine. More than fine, actually. There was a long silence from the ship above. Then Vextar's voice came back, filled with confusion. That is impossible. Run the medical scans again. Jake picked up his collection kit and walked back toward the stream. Can we run the scans later? I want to get more samples while there's still daylight. Lisa and Creelon looked at each other in amazement. They had just witnessed something. That should have been impossible. A human had been bitten by a shadow maw and was treating it like a mosquito bite dot as Jake knelt by the stream again. The strange fish came back out of hiding. Even they seemed to sense that something important had just happened. Back at base camp, Jake Coleman sat on a folding chair while Dr. Creelon ran test after test on his blood. Her 4 hands moved quickly between different machines, and her large black eyes kept getting wider with each result. This is not possible, she said for the 10th time in an hour. The venom levels in your blood should have killed 20 of my people. Jake rolled up his sleeve to show the bite marks. They were just 2 small red dots now, barely visible. Maybe shadow maw venom doesn't work the same way on humans. Lisa Brooks stood nearby, watching the scanner readings over Creelon's shoulder. She had seen many strange things in her years as a security officer, but nothing like this. Your heart rate is actually lower than it was before you got bitten, she said. And your blood pressure is perfect. I told you. I feel great, Jake said. Better than great, actually. It's like I just had the best cup of coffee in the universe. Commander Vextar's voice came through the radio from the ship above. Doctor, Creelon, what are your findings? Creelon looked at her test results again, hoping they would make more sense the second time. They did not. Commander, the human's body is processing the shadow maw venom like it is a mild stimulant. His liver is breaking it down into harmless compounds. His kidneys are filtering out the toxins without any problem. That cannot be correct, Vextar replied. Check your equipment. I have checked everything 3 times, Creelon said. The equipment is working perfectly. It is the human who is impossible. Jake stood up and stretched. The sun was getting lower in the purple sky, and he wanted to collect more samples before dark. Can I get back to work now? There's still so much to see. Absolutely not, Lisa said firmly. We need to understand what happened to you first. What happened is that I got bitten by an alien snake, and it didn't kill me, Jake said with a shrug. Now can I please go study some more plants? Dr. Creelon put down her scanner and looked at Jake carefully. Do you understand what this means? Shadow Maw venom kills everything. Every species we know of dies within minutes of being bitten. You are the first living creature to survive it. Well, humans are pretty tough, Jake said. We evolved on a planet with lots of dangerous animals. Maybe that gave us some advantages. Lisa thought about what Jake had said. Earth did have many. Venomous creatures, snakes, spiders, scorpions, jellyfish. Humans had been dealing with poisons and toxins for millions of years. Maybe their bodies had learned how to handle them better than species from safer worlds. Jake, I need to take more blood samples, Creolon said. If we can understand how your body neutralizes the venom, we might be able to save other people who get bitten. Fine, Jake agreed, but after that, I'm going back to work. As Creolon drew blood from Jake's arm, she noticed something interesting. Your blood is producing antibodies against the venom. Your immune system is not just fighting it off, it is learning how to defend against it. Is that unusual? Jake asked. Very unusual, Creolon replied. Most species die too quickly for their immune systems to respond. But your body treated the venom like a virus or bacteria. It studied it, learned from it, and now you are immune to future bites. Commander Vextar's voice came through the radio again. Dr. Creolon, I need you to send all your test results to the ship immediately. I am forwarding them to the Galactic Science Council. The Science Council? Lisa asked. Why? Because if what Dr. Creolon is reporting is true, this changes everything. We know about human biology, Vextar explained. Species across the galaxy have avoided certain worlds because of creatures like the Shadow Maws. If humans are immune to these toxins, Jake understood what the commander was thinking. You mean humans could explore places that other species can't go? Exactly, Vextar said. There are hundreds of worlds that we consider too dangerous to visit. Worlds with valuable resources, scientific discoveries, maybe even other forms of intelligent life. But the local predators make exploration impossible. Dr. Creolon finished taking blood samples and began running new tests. I am detecting something else interesting. The venom seems to have improved some of your body's functions. Your reflexes are faster, your vision is sharper, and your muscle coordination is better. Really? Jake looked at his hands. They did feel steadier than usual. When he focused on objects in the distance, they seemed clearer than before. Decided to test this. She threw a small rock at Jake without warning. He caught it easily, moving faster than she expected. Impressive, Lisa said. Try this. She threw 3 rocks at once. Jake caught all 3, one with each hand and one that he grabbed out of the air with his teeth. Then he spit it out and laughed. Okay, that was weird, even for me. The venom appears to be acting as a performance enhancer for humans, Creolon explained. Instead of destroying your nervous system, it is improving it. Word of Jake's survival spread quickly through the ship's communication system. Soon, everyone aboard the Starbound knew about the human who had been bitten by a Shadow Maw and lived to tell about it. In the ship's mess hall, crew members from 6 different species gathered to discuss what had happened. The Zealothi were amazed and worried. The Corvin engineers wanted to study Jake's blood to see if they could create artificial immunity. The Rigelian traders were already thinking about the business opportunities, but it was Dr. Elin, an elderly Zealothi scientist, who understood the real importance of what had happened. Do you know what this means? Dr. Elin asked the group. Humans may be the most biologically resilient species we have ever encountered. They survive toxins that kill us. They adapt to environments that would destroy us, and they seem to get stronger from things that should weaken them. Back on the planet, Jake had convinced Lisa to let him continue his research. He was collecting samples from plants near the stream when he made another discovery. Look at this, he called to Creolon. He was holding a flower that glowed bright red in his hands. "This plant is supposed to be extremely poisonous according to your records." "Do not touch that," Creolon shouted, running toward him. "The toxic oils from that plant can kill through skin contact." But Jake was already examining the flower closely. "It's beautiful, and it smells like cinnamon." He took a small sniff of the flower. Creolon stopped running and stared at him. "You just inhaled enough toxic spores to kill a dozen of my people." Jake smiled and carefully placed the flower in a sample container. "It made me a little dizzy for a second, but now I feel fine. Actually, my sinuses feel clearer than they have in years." As the alien sun set behind the purple trees, casting strange shadows across the crystal formations, Jake continued his work. He was discovering that many of the plants and creatures that other species considered deadly were barely harmful to humans. Some made him feel energized. Others improved his vision or made his thinking clearer. A few even seemed to have healing properties, making small cuts and bruises disappear faster than normal. "Jake," Lisa said as she watched him work, "I think we need to contact Earth. The people back home need to know about this." "Good idea," Jake agreed, carefully sealing another sample container. "But first, I want to see what happens when I meet an adult Shadowmaw." Lisa and Creolon looked at each other in alarm. "Absolutely not," Lisa said. "A juvenile almost killed you." "A juvenile gave me a little buzz," Jake corrected. "I want to know what an adult can do." High above them, aboard the Starbound, Commander Vexstar was sending an urgent message to the Galactic Science Council. The message was simple, but would change the course of galactic history. "We have discovered that humans possess biological immunity to toxins that are lethal to all other known species. Request immediate scientific review and policy evaluation. This changes everything." 3 days after Jake Coleman's first encounter with a Shadowmaw, 5 new ships appeared in orbit around Kepler 442c. The largest was a hegemony battlecruiser, its dark hull bristling with weapons. Admiral Zantaka commanded the fleet, and he was not happy. "This is impossible," Admiral Zantaka declared as he reviewed the medical reports aboard the Starbound. The Admiral was a massive creature with thick gray skin and 6 arms. His species, the Grimmer, had conquered 12 star systems through superior technology and biological weapons. "No species can survive Shadowmaw venom. The humans are lying." "Commander." Vexstar stood respectfully before the Admiral, but his voice was firm. "I have seen the test results myself, Admiral. Dr. Jake Coleman was bitten by a juvenile Shadowmaw and survived without any medical treatment." "Then your tests are wrong," Admiral Zantaka growled. "Or this human has been chemically enhanced in some way. I demand proof." Dr. Creolon stepped forward with her data tablets. "Admiral, I have run every test possible. The human's blood naturally neutralizes toxins that would kill our people in seconds. There is no artificial enhancement." Admiral Zantaka's 6 arms moved in a gesture of dismissal. "I will not believe this until I see it with my own eyes. Arrange a demonstration." Down on the planet's surface, Jake was studying a grove of singing trees when Lisa Brooks approached him with a worried expression. "Jake, we need to talk. The Galactic Science Council has sent a delegation to verify your immunity to Shadowmaw venom." "That's great," Jake said, not looking up from the tree he was examining. "Maybe they can help me understand how these trees communicate with each other." "Jake, they want you to be bitten by an adult Shadowmaw," Lisa said seriously. In front of witnesses, Jake finally looked up from his work. "An adult? How big are we talking?" Dr. Creolon joined them, carrying her usual collection of scanners. "The adult they have captured is 3 meters long and weighs approximately 50 kilograms. Its venom sac contains enough toxin to kill 100 of my people." "Interesting," Jake said thoughtfully. That's a lot more than the juvenile. But if my theory is correct, it should just be a stronger version of what I already experienced. Your theory? Lisa asked. Jake sat down on a fallen log and explained his thinking. I've been studying the biochemistry of the venom samples. The toxins work by breaking down cellular bonds, right? But human cells are structured differently than most alien species. We evolved on a world with constant biological threats. He picked up a sample container filled with purple liquid. This is shadow maw venom mixed with my blood. Watch what happens. He shook the container gently. The purple venom turned clear and harmless. My immune system doesn't just fight off the toxins, Jake continued. It breaks them down and uses the components to strengthen my cellular defenses. It's like eating food that makes you stronger instead of poisoning you. Dr. Creolon studied the clear liquid in amazement. You are saying that shadow maw venom is actually beneficial to humans? In the right doses, yes, Jake replied. The juvenile bite was like a vitamin shot. An adult bite might be like a full meal of health supplements. Lisa shook her head. Jake, this is incredibly dangerous. What if you're wrong? What if an adult shadow maw produces a different type of venom? Then I guess we'll find out, Jake said with a smile. When do they want to do the test? A demonstration was arranged for the next morning. Admiral Zantaka insisted on bringing his own scientists and recording equipment. He also brought Tom Murphy, another human marine biologist who had volunteered. To witness the test, Tom was a shorter man with red hair and nervous energy. He had worked with Jake before and knew his colleague's tendency to take risks. Are you absolutely sure about this, Jake? As sure as I can be without actually doing it, Jake replied. Besides, if something goes wrong, at least we'll have learned something important about human biology. The adult shadow maw was contained in a transparent energy cage that hummed with power. The creature was magnificent and terrifying. Its black body was covered with silver markings that pulsed like a heartbeat. Its head was the size of a human torso, with fangs as long as fingers. This creature was captured on the dark side of the continent, Admiral Zantaka explained. It has already killed 6 of my soldiers during the capture operation. Jake studied the shadow maw through the energy field. The creature seemed to study him back with intelligent, calculating eyes. How? Do we do this safely? We will lower one section of the containment field, Dr. Creolon explained. You will place your arm through the opening. The creature will bite you, and then we will immediately restore the containment field. What if it doesn't want to bite? Me? Jake asked. Admiral Zantaka laughed, a harsh sound like grinding metal. Shadow maws always attack. It is their nature. The assembled scientists and officials gathered around the containment cage. Representatives from 12 different species had come to witness this unprecedented event. Some had traveled across the galaxy to be there. Jake walked up to the containment field and placed his hand on the control panel. Ready when you are. Wait, Tom Murphy said suddenly. If this works, if Jake survives an adult shadow maw bite, what does that mean for the rest of us humans? Dr. Elin, the elderly Zealoty scientist, answered thoughtfully. It means that humans may be able to explore and colonize worlds that we have considered too dangerous to approach. Worlds rich in resources and scientific opportunities. It also means, Admiral Zantaka added grimly, that human biological superiority could shift the balance of power in the galaxy. Jake lowered the containment field and slowly inserted his arm through the opening. The adult shadow maw moved like flowing water, faster than the eye could follow. Its massive jaws clamped down on Jake's forearm, and its fangs pumped venom directly into his bloodstream. The creature held on for several seconds, injecting far more venom than the juvenile had. Then it released Jake's arm and slithered back to the far side of its cage. Jake pulled his arm back and examined the bite wounds. They were much larger than before, and he could feel the venom spreading through his system like liquid fire. "How do you feel?" Dr. Creelon asked urgently, her scanners already detecting massive toxin levels in Jake's blood. Jake was quiet for a moment, experiencing the full effects of the adult Shadowmaw's bite. The venom burned through his veins like molten metal. His heart raced, his vision sharpened, and his muscles felt charged with electricity. Then he smiled and looked at the assembled crowd. "That's got a real kick to it. Like drinking bourbon mixed with an energy drink." Admiral Zontaka's jaw dropped open. Around the room, scientists from a dozen species stared in shocked silence. Tom Murphy started laughing. "Only you, Jake. Only you would describe getting bitten by a legendary death beast as having a real kick to it." Dr. Creelon's scanner showed toxin levels that should have killed Jake 20 times over. But his vital signs were not just normal. They were improved. His reflexes were faster, his strength was greater, and his mental clarity was enhanced. "This is impossible," Admiral Zontaka whispered. "My people have used Shadowmaw venom as a weapon for centuries. It has never failed to kill." Jake flexed his arm where the bite marks were already beginning to heal. "Maybe you've been using it on the wrong species, Admiral." As word of the successful test spread throughout the galaxy, emergency sessions were called in government chambers across dozens of worlds. The implications were staggering. Humans, the newest species to join the galactic community, might also be the most biologically resilient. Worlds that had been considered death traps could become human colonies. Resources that had been impossible to harvest could become available. But more importantly, the military applications were enormous. If humans could survive biological weapons that killed other species, it would completely change the balance of power in the galaxy. Back on Kepler 442c, Jake was already planning his next experiment. "I wonder what would happen if I tried some of that glowing moss we found yesterday," he mused. "Please don't," Lisa said quickly. "Let's understand what just happened before you start eating alien plants." But Jake was already walking toward his collection of samples, energized by the adult Shadowmaw's venom and eager to push the boundaries of human biological resistance even further. Admiral Zontaka watched him go, his mind racing with the implications of what he had witnessed. The galaxy was about to change in ways that no one could fully predict. 6 months after Jake Coleman survived his first Shadowmaw bite, Kepler 442c looked very different. Where once there had been only crystal formations and dangerous jungle, now there was a thriving human research station called New Darwin Base. Stood on the observation deck of the main building, watching human scientists work alongside creatures that other species still considered deadly monsters. An adult Shadowmaw named Silver coiled around his shoulders like a friendly pet. The creature's venom had become Jake's daily vitamin supplement. "Hard to believe how much has changed," said Tom Murphy, joining Jake on the deck. Tom now served as the base's deputy director, and his red hair had grown longer in the months since their arrival. "The Galactic Science Council is still trying to understand the implications," Jake replied, gently stroking Silver's scales. The Shadowmaw made a soft purring sound and nuzzled Jake's neck affectionately. Down in the research labs, Dr. Creelon worked with a team of human and alien scientists to catalog the medicinal properties of Kepler 442c's supposedly deadly flora and fauna. What they had discovered changed everything anyone thought they knew about toxicology. The glowing red flowers that could kill most aliens with a touch turned out to be powerful healing agents for humans. The poisonous moss that dissolved zealothy skin worked as a regenerative treatment for human wounds. Even the deadly spores that floated through the air acted as immune system boosters for human biology. "Dr. Coleman," came a voice from behind them. Jake turned to see Admiral Zontaka approaching. The massive Grimmer looked very different now than he had 6 months ago. His aggressive posture had been replaced by something that looked almost like respect. "Admiral," Jake nodded politely. "How are the negotiations going?" "The Hegemony Council has agreed to your terms," Admiral Zontaka said. "We will provide transportation and protection for human research teams in exchange for access to your medical discoveries." It was a fair deal. The Hegemony got medicine that could save their people from diseases and injuries that had been killing them for centuries. In return, humans got safe passage to explore worlds that other species considered too dangerous to visit. "There is one more thing," Admiral Zontaka continued. "The Council wants to know if other humans share your biological advantages." Jake smiled and pointed down toward the research station. In the courtyard below, a dozen human scientists worked with various alien creatures and plants. Dr. Sarah Williams was lighting a juvenile. Shadowmaw bit her arm while she recorded the experience. Dr. Ben Garcia was testing the effects of toxic spores by breathing them directly. Dr. Amy Chun was handling poisonous flowers with her bare hands. All humans seemed to have the same resistance. Jake explained. "Some are more sensitive than others, but we've never found a human who couldn't survive what you call deadly toxins." "Remarkable," Admiral Zontaka muttered. "My species has spent thousands of years developing weapons to kill our enemies, but none of them work on humans." "Maybe that's a good thing," Tan suggested. "Maybe the galaxy needs a species that can't be killed by biological weapons." Through the observation deck's windows, they could see the results of 6 months of human colonization. The toxic swamps had been drained and turned into farmland, where humans grew earth crops enhanced by alien nutrients. The deadly forests had become parks where human families could walk safely among creatures that would kill any other species. Most impressive of all was the Shadowmaw breeding facility. Humans had discovered that the creatures were highly intelligent and could be domesticated. Young Shadowmaws bonded with human partners and served as both companions and sources of beneficial venom. "The economic implications are staggering," said Dr. Lisa Brooks, who had been promoted to base commander. "We're producing medicines, supplements, and enhancement treatments that every species in the galaxy wants to buy." Jake nodded as he watched human children playing in the courtyard below. They ran and laughed while baby Shadowmaws chased them like puppies. To the children, the deadly creatures of Kepler 442c were just interesting pets. "Earth has approved plans for 12 more colonies on worlds previously considered too dangerous for habitation," Lisa continued. "The resource potential is enormous." Admiral Zontaka studied the human children playing with creatures that could kill his soldiers. "Do you understand what you have done? You have made yourselves the most valuable species in the galaxy. Every government will want to ally with you. Every military will want to recruit you." "We're not interested in being weapons," Jake said firmly. "We're scientists. We want to explore and learn." "That may not be your choice," Admiral Zontaka warned. "The Corvin Empire is already offering massive payments for human military service. The Rigelian Trade Federation wants to hire human colonists for dangerous worlds. Even my own hegemony sees the advantages of having human allies." Jake looked. Down at Silver, the Shadowmaw coiled around his shoulders. The creature's silver markings pulsed gently, and Jake felt the familiar tingle of beneficial venom entering his bloodstream. It still amazed him that something so deadly to other species was like a health tonic for humans. "We'll handle those problems when they come," Jake said. "For now, we have work to do." In the months that followed, human colonies spread across previously forbidden worlds. Planets with acid rain became human mining operations. Worlds filled with venomous creatures became human agricultural centers. Toxic swamps were turned into human cities. The galaxy watched in amazement as humans thrived in environments that would kill anyone else. What other species called death worlds, humans called new homes. Jake Coleman became famous throughout the galaxy as the first human to survive a Shadowmaw bite. But he never forgot that simple moment by the stream when a curious alien creature had given him what he called a little buzz. That small bite had changed everything. Got in his final report to Earth, Jake wrote, "The universe is not as dangerous as we thought. It's just dangerous to everyone else." For humans, what the galaxy calls deadly toxins are really just unexplored medicine. What they call death worlds are really just new homes waiting for the right species to appreciate them. He sealed the report and sent it toward Earth, then walked outside to check on the Shadowmaw nursery. Silver uncoiled from his shoulders and slithered down to play with her offspring. The baby Shadowmaws gathered around Jake's feet, their tiny fangs harmlessly pricking his skin as they climbed up his legs. "Come on, kids," Jake said to the baby creatures. "Let's go see what other impossible things we can discover today." As the alien sun set over New Darwin Base, casting purple light across a world where humans and Shadowmaws lived together in harmony, Jake smiled and headed toward his laboratory. There were still so many dangerous creatures to study, so many deadly plants to catalog, and so many impossible things to make possible. After all, what was the point of being human if you didn't laugh in the face of danger and call it a little buzz?